The galaxy celebrated. After centuries of war, after countless battles that burned stars and shattered worlds, the Great Council announced a miracle. A peace treaty had been written. The leaders of many species stood together in the council chamber, their voices echoing with promises of unity. They called it peace. They called it the end of bloodshed. They said no one would fight again, no fleets would clash, no colonies would burn. The galaxy cheered and believed. But humanity stayed silent. The humans did not smile when the news spread. On Earth, the people watched the council's speech with cold eyes. In their cities, in their bases, in their halls, no one celebrated. They remembered history. They remembered how every peace offered by outsiders came with hidden chains. The council claimed this treaty would protect everyone, but humanity knew that words on paper could hide daggers in the dark. They had seen traps like this before, traps dressed in beautiful lies. The alien worlds rushed to sign. The Tallarans, tall and graceful, laid down their weapons in joy. The Varani, a warrior race once feared, dismantled their fleets with laughter. The Kellner merchants shouted in delight, dreaming of endless trade under this new peace. Every world trusted the council. Every world believed in the promise. Only humanity looked deeper. In secret chambers, human leaders studied the treaty line by line. They found strange rules. They found laws that cut away freedom in small, quiet steps. Earth was told it must share its resources, but others could keep their own. Human fleets were ordered to move far from their home, while other species could keep theirs close. On the surface, these words seemed harmless. To others, they looked like balance. But to humanity, they looked like chains. Chains meant to bind Earth slowly until it could no longer fight back. The council's voice was smooth and calm. They spoke of hope, of a new age, of peace everlasting. But under the bright light of their words, shadows grew. Humanity saw them. Humanity did not speak loudly, but inside their hearts, they prepared. They knew peace had not come. A trap had come, and the jaws were waiting to close. Across the galaxy, fireworks exploded. Worlds danced under banners of unity. Old enemies embraced as allies. Even soldiers cried tears of joy, thinking war had finally ended. But on Earth, factories did not stop. Ships did not sleep in their docks. Pilots still trained in the silence of the night. Humanity clapped politely when asked to join the celebrations, but behind closed doors, their silence grew heavier. They were the only ones who did not trust this peace. Whispers spread among alien diplomats. Why are the humans so cold? They asked. Why do they not rejoice? Do they want war forever? The council mocked Earth, calling them paranoid, calling them stubborn, calling them children who could not understand the gift of peace. But the humans only listened and watched. They remembered an old lesson: the moment everyone lowers their guard is the moment betrayal comes. And betrayal always comes. The treaty was signed. Every species stamped their approval, one after another, until the room shone with pride. Cameras showed it to the entire galaxy. The council smiled, the people cheered, and the age of war was declared over. Yet when the human ambassador signed the paper, his hand did not tremble, his face did not glow with happiness. He signed slowly, carefully, as if placing his name on something dangerous. The council saw it, but ignored it. They thought Earth was small, one world among many, one voice lost in the ocean of cheering. They believed humanity was trapped like everyone else. But humanity was not trapped. Humanity had seen the jaws close before they snapped shut. Far away, in secret stations hidden beyond the edge of known space, human fleets waited. Silent steel giants rested in the darkness, unseen by alien eyes. Weapons slept inside their hulls, ready to wake if the peace failed. On Earth itself, leaders whispered plans. If the treaty broke, if betrayal came, they would not be unprepared. While others dreamed, humanity sharpened its blade in silence. The galaxy saw peace. Humanity saw a storm. And as the celebrations roared, as songs of joy spread from star to star, a question grew in the heart of every human. What are they hiding from us? It was a question the galaxy refused to ask. It was a question only Earth carried like fire in the dark. The Council called it peace. But peace had never looked so dangerous. And deep inside, humanity knew the truth. This was not the end of war. This was the beginning of something far worse. The trap was set. The jaws were closing. And humanity was already preparing for the day they snapped shut. The galaxy believed the age of war was over. Songs of peace filled every broadcast. Council leaders stood tall, declaring that history had changed forever. But far from the cheers and celebrations, in hidden rooms on Earth, human eyes scanned every word of the treaty. Line by line, page by page, they searched, and what they found was not peace. It was a net, carefully designed to tighten around them. To most species, the treaty looked fair. The language was soft, the words gentle, promising equality and protection. But the humans were not fooled. They read the small letters, the quiet phrases that others ignored. The Council demanded Earth share its rare metals, the very resources that built their warships. Yet other worlds were allowed to keep theirs untouched. Humanity was told their fleets must remain far from the Sol system, patrolling borders that meant nothing to Earth. Yet other empires could keep their fleets close to their homes. Every line looked harmless, but together they formed chains. Chains that would strangle Earth slowly, without a single shot fired. Human leaders gathered in secret meetings. Generals, scientists, diplomats, and old veterans sat around the same table. They spoke quietly, because even the walls could have ears. One man spread the treaty across the table and pointed with a shaking hand. "This is not peace," he said. "This is control. They want us weak. They want us blind." No one argued. Every eye saw the same thing. But what chilled them most was how carefully it was hidden. The Council had not written this treaty in haste. It was designed. Crafted with precision, every word placed like a blade hidden beneath silk. Other races celebrated without question. They dismantled fleets, shut down weapons, and closed their academies. To them, the treaty was freedom. No more war, no more blood, no more fear. But to humanity, it was slavery dressed in gold. On alien worlds, soldiers threw down their rifles and kissed their families. On Earth, soldiers kept training. Factories kept running. Ships kept being built, though the galaxy believed otherwise. The humans smiled in public but stayed awake at night, planning. Some human ambassadors tried to warn their allies. They whispered to the Tallarans and the Varani, telling them to read carefully, to think twice. But the replies came with laughter. "You humans are paranoid," the Tallarans said. "You see ghosts where none exist." The Varani warriors shook their heads. "You want to keep fighting forever. We are tired. We choose peace." Even old allies turned away. Humanity stood alone, the only species that saw the trap. The Council began sending inspectors to human colonies. They claimed it was routine, a simple check to make sure fleets were following the treaty. But humans noticed something else. These inspectors asked too many questions. They searched too deeply. They lingered too long near shipyards and research stations. It was not inspection. It was spying. Earth reported their concerns, but the Council dismissed them. "We only seek trust," they said. "Why do humans fear our friendship?" But the truth was clear. The Council wanted to know how much strength humanity still kept hidden. Tension grew inside the halls of Earth's government. Some wanted to resist openly, to tear the treaty apart and declare freedom. But others argued for patience. "If we resist now, the galaxy will see us as warmongers," one leader said. "If we speak too loudly, they will unite against us. We must wait. We must prepare in silence." And so humanity played the role of obedient signers. They nodded at meetings, they smiled at banquets, they spoke polite words in front of cameras. But behind closed doors, they built. Yet even as they prepared, doubt spread among the people. Some ordinary humans wanted to believe in peace. They were tired of war too. They saw alien celebrations and asked, "Why not us? Why do we always distrust? Why do we always suspect betrayal?" The leaders did not answer directly, but in their hearts, they knew the truth. Humanity's survival had always depended on seeing what others could not. And now, more than ever, that instinct was needed. Weeks turned into months. The treaty spread across the stars, and the galaxy grew calm. Trade routes opened. Old borders vanished. For the first time in living memory, fleets no longer clashed in the void. But to humanity, this silence was not peace. It was the silence of a predator waiting in tall grass. The council had declared friendship, but their eyes told another story. Every smile was too sharp, every handshake too long. And the humans, though polite, never forgot. One night, in a hidden base beyond the asteroid belt, a group of commanders stood on a balcony overlooking vast shipyards. Below them, unfinished warships rested in the dark, cloaked from scanners. Their hulls gleamed faintly under artificial lights, silent giants waiting for orders. One commander whispered, "When the trap is sprung, they will come for us first." Another replied, "Then let them come. They will find we are not so easy to bind." The galaxy believed humanity had accepted the treaty. They believed Earth was chained like the rest. But in secret, in silence, in shadows, humanity sharpened its blade. They waited, watching every move, reading every hidden word, preparing for the day the truth would be revealed. Because the treaty was not peace. It was a weapon aimed at humanity. And when it was fired, the galaxy would discover something terrifying. Humanity had already seen the shot coming. The galaxy slept under the banner of peace. Alien worlds lowered their weapons, fleets rested in dry docks, and soldiers returned home to live quiet lives. Everywhere, songs of hope echoed. Children grew up without fear of war, traders moved freely, and rulers smiled at the new age. But while the galaxy slept, humanity did not. On Earth and its colonies, peace was only a mask. Behind it, the real work began. Factories that once built machines for daily life now turned to secret labor. Underground chambers roared with the sound of engines and forges. Metal was shaped into armored hulls, hidden from prying eyes. Scientists who were expected to study medicine or farming quietly worked on weapons and defense systems. Whole industries disguised their production, creating what the treaty forbade. Where aliens saw humans building civilian ships, in reality, they built warships cloaked as freighters. Where aliens thought humans stored food, they stored missiles and fuel. In space, training centers operated in silence. Pilots flew in hidden zones far from alien scanners. They practiced maneuvers in the cold void, preparing for battles no one else believed would come. Young men and women trained in bunkers beneath Earth's surface, their drills masked as emergency response exercises. But they were not training to fight fires. They were training to fight wars. Humanity knew the trap was real, and they refused to step into it blindly. Alien spies tried to watch, but humans were careful. A smiling ambassador would show them a peaceful city or a quiet farm. Inspectors would visit factories and see only tractors, harvesters, and tools for mining. What they never saw were the hidden levels, the secret chambers where humanity's true preparations lived. The council grew suspicious, but they could find no proof. Humanity played the role of the obedient member, polite in meetings, careful in words, but always hiding what truly mattered. Ordinary humans asked questions. They saw the celebrations across the galaxy and wondered why Earth was different. Why did their leaders not trust peace? Why did soldiers still train in silence? The leaders answered gently, saying, "We hope for peace too, but we must be ready. If the trap closes, we cannot be weak." Some believed, others doubted, but all obeyed. Humanity had survived too many wars to risk being unprepared. In one colony at the edge of known space, miners uncovered strange crystals in a deep cavern. Instead of selling them openly, Earth's scientists secretly studied the crystals. They found that the material could power new weapons, stronger than anything humanity had used before. Such discoveries were hidden, never reported to the Council. Every secret resource, every hidden advantage, was quietly stored away for the day peace would break. Time moved forward, and the galaxy forgot war. But humanity remembered. Generals who had fought in past battles told their soldiers stories of betrayal, reminding them why they must be ready. In classrooms, children studied not just history but the mistakes of those who trusted too easily. Humanity carried memory like a shield, and that shield grew heavier every day. The Council grew more confident. They believed their treaty had chained humanity. They believed Earth was harmless. But in the silence of the void, hidden fleets multiplied. Ships with dark hulls waited in shadowed docks. Entire squadrons trained without broadcasting their signals. Humanity built in secret, layer by layer, preparing for a future only they saw. One night, in a secret command center under the oceans of Earth, leaders watched a simulation. It showed alien fleets moving against human colonies, just as the treaty allowed. The simulation ended with Earth burning, unless the hidden fleets intervened. The commanders looked at each other in silence. Finally, one of them spoke. "They believe we are sleeping. But when they strike, they will find us awake." The others nodded. No more words were needed. While the galaxy sang of peace, humanity sharpened its blade. Not openly, not with loud parades or public armies, but in silence, in patience, in shadows. They knew one truth that the galaxy had forgotten. Peace without trust was only a pause before betrayal. Humanity trusted no one. Humanity prepared for everyone. And somewhere, deep inside the Council's own halls, a few alien leaders began to wonder. They saw Earth's cold eyes, their careful silence, their lack of celebration. A whisper spread in the corridors of power. What if humanity knows something we do not? But the whisper was ignored, buried under laughter and pride. The galaxy did not believe the storm was coming. Only Earth did. Silent preparations continued, night after night, year after year. Fleets grew larger. Weapons grew sharper. Soldiers grew stronger. Humanity's mask of obedience stayed firm, but behind it, their hands never stopped working. The galaxy believed peace was eternal. Humanity knew peace was already broken, only waiting to reveal its true face. And when that day came, humanity would not be caught unprepared. The treaty was only 2 years old when the first shadow fell. At first, the galaxy thought nothing had changed. Trade moved faster than ever. Borders dissolved, and fleets were smaller. Alien races laughed together in halls where they once shouted in anger. To everyone else, the age of peace looked real. But on a cold night in the outer colonies of Earth, silence was broken by fire. A human mining station on the edge of the Zorith belt stopped sending signals. At first, the Council called it an accident. They told Earth that the station must have suffered a technical failure. But when rescue ships arrived, they found nothing but wreckage. Burned metal drifted in space. No survivors. No accident. Someone had attacked. The Council's voice was smooth. They told humanity not to worry. Pirates, they said. It must have been pirates. But Earth's leaders knew better. The wounds on the station's hull were not from scavengers. They were from warships. And the weapons that caused them were not the weapons of pirates. They belonged to a species that had signed the peace treaty. Humanity said nothing, but their silence grew colder. Days later, another colony vanished. This time it was a farming world, small and quiet, with no soldiers at all. When a patrol ship arrived, it found fields burned to ash and cities destroyed. The attackers left no flags, no names, no message. Only death. The Council still spoke of pirates, of accidents, of misunderstandings. But humans knew. This was betrayal. In secret, Earth activated its hidden fleets. Warships that had slept for years rose from their docks, engines lighting the dark. Crews rushed to stations, and alarms whispered through underground bunkers. Humanity did not speak of war yet, but their actions showed the truth. They had been waiting for this moment. The trap had begun to close. News spread slowly, and other alien races ignored it. The Tallarans said, "Perhaps humans are exaggerating. Perhaps it was their own mistake." The Varani shrugged, saying, "It is only 2 colonies. What is 2 colonies compared to eternal peace?" No one wanted to believe. No one wanted to admit the treaty was broken. Admitting it would mean admitting that the council had failed. So they turned away from the truth. Only humanity faced it. Then came the night the trap truly revealed itself. A fleet of ships, carrying the banner of peace, entered human space without warning. They claimed to be delivering supplies under the treaty's rules. But when the human fleet approached to escort them, the alien ships opened fire. Without warning, without mercy, they struck. Missiles tore through the void, and human colonies screamed as they burned. The galaxy gasped when the news reached them. But instead of blaming the attackers, the council pointed at Earth. Humans provoked this, they said. Humans cannot live in peace. Humans brought this on themselves. Lies spread faster than truth, and suddenly humanity stood alone. Once again, the old story returned. Humans as the villains, humans as the dangerous ones, humans as the race that could not be trusted. The council's trap was working. But the council had miscalculated. They believed Earth had grown weak. They believed humanity had laid down its arms like the rest of the galaxy. They believed the colonies would fall quietly, without resistance. They were wrong. The first betrayal was supposed to end humanity. Instead, it awakened them. In the darkness of deep space, a hidden fleet responded. Human warships, black and silent, moved like shadows. When the alien attackers struck again, they were met not by weak defenses but by fire. Human cruisers unleashed weapons no one had seen before. Explosions tore through the ambush fleet, ripping their ships apart. What was meant to be a slaughter became a battle. And for the first time since the treaty was signed, the galaxy saw humanity's teeth. But Earth did not celebrate victory. Their colonies were still burning. Their people were still dead. And the betrayal had only just begun. In council halls, whispers grew louder. If humanity was prepared for attack, if they fought back so fiercely, then maybe the rumors were true. Maybe humans had never trusted peace. Maybe they had been preparing all along. Fear spread in quiet voices. The council had tried to break humanity, but in doing so, they had shown the galaxy something terrifying. Earth would not go down easily. That night, in the chambers of Earth's leadership, silence filled the room. Generals and admirals stood around a table glowing with maps of the galaxy. Every red mark showed a lost colony, every line showed a threat. Finally, one of them spoke. "The first betrayal has come. The treaty is dead. They wanted us weak. They wanted us blind. Now they will see what it means to betray humanity." The galaxy still told itself peace lived. But humanity knew better. The first betrayal was only the beginning. And when the trap closed fully, Earth would be ready to strike back. The council thought the trap was perfect. They had stripped away fleets, forced colonies to open, and tied humanity's hands with words of peace. They believed the first betrayal would break Earth. They imagined burning cities and helpless voices begging for mercy. But when the trap closed, they discovered the prey had teeth. Humanity did not wait for pity. Humanity struck back. In the ashes of ruined colonies, human warships rose like ghosts. The fleets the council thought dismantled were not gone at all. They had been hidden in secret docks, deep under asteroids and behind cloaked stations. When the first betrayal came, alarms echoed through these hidden strongholds. Engines roared, weapons hummed, and ships painted black slipped into the void. To the galaxy, it was as if Earth had conjured them from shadows. The alien fleets that attacked human space expected no resistance. They came to plunder, to finish what the treaty had begun. But instead of frightened colonists, they met fire. Human cruisers fell upon them with silent precision. Missiles lanced out like burning spears, cutting through shields. Railguns shattered hulls into fragments. In minutes, what was meant to be a massacre became a slaughter in reverse. The hunters became the hunted, and the void was filled with their wreckage. Word of the counterattack spread quickly. Alien leaders gasped when they saw the reports. They had believed Earth was weak, chained, harmless. But now they saw a terrifying truth. Humanity had not only prepared for betrayal, they had planned for it. Every attack was answered with a counterblow, sharp and merciless. Colonies thought lost were suddenly defended by fleets no one knew existed. The galaxy stared in shock. How could one world defy the entire Council's plan? In the halls of power, Council members argued. Some shouted that humanity must be crushed before they grew too strong. Others whispered in fear, wondering if they had awakened something unstoppable. For centuries, the Council had manipulated races with treaties and laws. But never before had one species resisted so quietly, so patiently, and then struck back with such force. Humanity was rewriting the game, and the Council did not know how to answer. On Earth, the people were not celebrating. They mourned the lost colonies, the burned worlds, the betrayed lives. But their mourning turned into fury. Factories worked day and night, producing weapons faster than ever. Recruits filled training halls, their faces hard with anger. Entire cities turned into engines of war. Humanity did not fight for conquest. They fought for survival. They fought because they knew betrayal would not stop with 2 colonies, it would spread until Earth itself was ash. And they refused to let that happen. The Council tried to twist the truth. They broadcast lies across the galaxy, claiming humanity had broken the treaty, that Earth was the aggressor, that the betrayal was only self-defense. But even as the lies spread, the wreckage told another story. Too many fleets had vanished in human space. Too many attacks had ended with alien ships burning. Whispers grew among ordinary races. If the Council's words were true, why did humans fight with such precision? Why did every strike look like defense, not aggression? In the shadows, some species began to doubt. They had signed the treaty believing in peace. But now they saw fleets moving against humanity and heard the Council demand silence. Some began to wonder if Earth had been right all along. If humanity had seen the trap before anyone else. If the Council's peace was nothing more than chains. Meanwhile, human fleets pushed deeper. They did not stop at defense. They struck the staging grounds of their betrayers, burning fuel depots, crippling shipyards, scattering enemy forces. Colonies that thought themselves safe woke to alarms as human warships appeared out of nowhere. Every strike was quick, every strike was brutal, and then the humans were gone before reinforcements could arrive. The galaxy had never seen war fought this way. They had never seen prey turn into a predator so fast. Inside the command chambers of Earth, generals studied maps of the galaxy. Every red mark was a threat, every arrow a potential strike. They did not talk of surrender. They did not talk of retreat. One general placed his hand on the table and said only one word, "Forward," and the fleets obeyed. The Council began to fear its own creation. The treaty had been their weapon, designed to weaken humanity. But now it became their curse. By betraying Earth, they had forced humanity to unleash its hidden power. And once unleashed, it could not be caged again. The hunters had thought themselves clever. They had called it peace, but it was never peace. They had called Earth weak, but Earth had never been weak. And now the galaxy watched as humanity turned betrayal into fire, silence into strength, and fear into a weapon sharper than any blade. The first counterattacks were only the beginning. Humanity had shown their teeth. Soon, the galaxy would see the full power of their fury. The council chambers had always been a place of pride. Here, the rulers of countless worlds gathered, their voices loud, their words sharp. They believed themselves untouchable, the true masters of the galaxy. But after humanity struck back, the chambers changed. The walls felt colder, the air heavier. Every delegate carried fear in their eyes, though few dared to speak it. Reports of destroyed fleets filled the tables. Holograms showed burning wreckage drifting in human space. Ambushes that were meant to crush Earth ended with silence and loss. The council had expected a weak species begging for mercy. Instead, they found an enemy that had waited, prepared, and answered with fury. Meetings grew longer and louder. Some demanded war without hesitation. "Crush them now," shouted a Kelmar representative. "If we unite all fleets, Earth cannot resist." Others shook their heads in dread. "Do you not see?" asked a Talaran diplomat. "They were ready. They saw through us. If we press harder, we may awaken something we cannot control." Fear spread like poison, creeping into every voice. For the first time in generations, the council was not certain. Behind closed doors, leaders whispered of what humanity might still be hiding. They had thought Earth was limited to one small system, a minor power in a vast galaxy. But how had they unleashed fleets so quickly? How had they built weapons no one had seen before? If this was what they revealed in their first strike, what else were they still concealing in the dark? Some wondered if humanity had allies hidden among the stars. Others feared humanity's technology was far ahead of theirs. Every theory spread more fear. The council tried to control the story. They broadcast messages blaming humanity for breaking the treaty, accusing them of betrayal, calling them the enemy of peace. But the more they spoke, the weaker their voices sounded. Ordinary citizens across the galaxy saw the truth. They saw council fleets vanish in human space. They heard the cries of soldiers who returned broken and afraid. They watched their leaders stumble over excuses. The council's power began to crack. In secret, some races began to doubt. Merchants whispered that Earth's strength might be safer to trade with than to fight. Small colonies at the edges of the galaxy asked whether the council had been lying all along. Even old enemies of humanity began to hesitate, wondering if joining the council's war was a mistake. The council saw this and grew desperate. Earth's silence was worse than any threat. Human leaders did not shout or boast. They did not send endless messages. They simply acted. They defended. They struck. And every strike cut deeper into the council's pride. The more humanity stayed calm, the more terrified the galaxy became. A calm enemy was more dangerous than a loud one. A calm enemy meant control. A calm enemy meant they were planning something larger, something unseen. The council ordered spies into human space, desperate to find the truth. But few returned, and those who did came back broken. They spoke of fleets hidden in shadows, of factories working day and night, of soldiers who trained with a discipline no alien army could match. They spoke of a people who no longer trusted anyone, who carried betrayal like fire in their hearts. Every word from these spies only deepened the council's fear. Meanwhile, humanity moved carefully. They did not conquer. They did not burn cities for pride. They struck only those who betrayed them, precise and merciless. This restraint terrified the council even more. It meant Earth was not driven by chaos or rage. It meant Earth was choosing its battles with patience, with strategy, with cold purpose. It meant Earth was fighting a war it intended to win. One council elder, older than most, whispered during a meeting, "We should have left them alone. We should never have chained them. We called it peace, but it was a lie. And now the lie will burn us all." His words spread uneasily through the chamber, but no one dared agree openly. To admit the truth would mean admitting their failure. And failure was something the council had never accepted. Still, fear grew heavier each day. The more the council tried to fight, the more their fleets vanished. The more they lied, the more the galaxy doubted them. For the first time in centuries, the council felt powerless. They had trapped many races before. They had broken empires and forged peace through fear. But humanity was different. Humanity did not break. Humanity pushed back. And so the council asked itself a question they had never spoken before. What if humanity cannot be stopped? The thought chilled them. Because if it was true, then the galaxy was no longer under their control. The balance of power was shifting, and Earth, once the smallest voice in the chamber, now cast the largest shadow. The council had called it peace. Humanity had called it a trap. And now, as their fleets burned and their allies trembled, the Council finally began to see the truth. The trap had not closed on Earth. The trap was closing on them. The galaxy held its breath. Everywhere, fleets slowed their movements, traders paused their ships, and colonies watched the stars in silence. Humanity had not spoken in weeks, but their silence was louder than war drums. Everyone knew something was coming. The Council felt it most of all. Their chambers, once filled with endless speeches, now echoed with quiet fear. Delegates no longer shouted for war. They whispered instead, each wondering if their words would be their last. Every new message from the front carried worse news. Fleets had vanished again. Patrols never returned. Systems once loyal to the Council now questioned their allegiance. For the first time in centuries, the Council was losing control. On Earth, human leaders gathered in a hidden command center. Their faces were calm, their voices steady. They had seen betrayal before, but never on such a scale. This time, however, humanity was ready. The trap had failed. Now the question was no longer survival. It was about what kind of future they would build from the ashes. They called it peace, one commander said, his voice hard. But peace built on lies is only slavery. Others nodded. If we stop now, another warned, they will only wait and strike again. The galaxy must learn what peace truly means. Humanity was no longer fighting for Earth alone. They were fighting for every world that had suffered under the Council's false peace. The first message came quietly. A transmission appeared across dozens of colonies, carried on human channels. It was simple, spoken in calm, measured words. We are humanity. We do not seek to conquer. We do not seek to destroy. We seek peace. But peace is not chains. Peace is not silence. Peace is not fear. True peace is freedom. Across the galaxy, billions listened. For many, it was the first time they had heard humanity speak directly. The words carried a weight no council decree ever had. They did not sound like threats. They sounded like truth. Soon after, human fleets moved again. But this time they did not strike blindly. They chose their targets with purpose. They dismantled the Council's supply lines, not the colonies. They seized the Council's fortresses, not the homes of civilians. Everywhere they went, they made the same promise: you are free. And the galaxy began to believe them. Colonies that had feared Earth now opened their ports. Merchants once bound by Council rules now traded with human ships. Soldiers who had served unwillingly under Council command now laid down their arms. The Council's power crumbled not only because of human weapons, but because of human words. In the Council chamber, fear turned to despair. Leaders argued but could no longer agree. Some wanted to surrender. Others demanded one last strike. But even as they spoke, they saw the truth. Their fleets were broken, their people restless, their authority fading. They had called their lies peace for generations. Now humanity had shown everyone what it really was: a trap. And no one wanted to stay inside it any longer. When humanity finally entered Council space, there was no grand battle. Human ships appeared, larger and stronger than any alien vessel. They moved with discipline, not rage. They surrounded the Council's fortress world, weapons ready but silent. A single message was sent: we do not come to destroy. We come to end the lie. Surrender, and you will live. Resist, and your time ends here. The Council, proud for centuries, had no answer. Some wept. Some screamed. But all knew the truth: Earth had won. The surrender was not bloody. Humanity accepted it without joy, without cruelty. They dismantled the Council's fleets, disbanded its armies, and broke its chains. Worlds once ruled through fear were given their freedom. And everywhere humanity went, they repeated the same message: true peace is built on trust, not fear. On freedom, not chains. On truth, not lies. It was a lesson the galaxy would not forget. But even in victory, humanity remained cautious. They did not claim thrones or demand tribute. They returned to Earth, leaving the galaxy to rebuild. Yet their presence lingered like a shadow. Everyone knew the truth now. Humanity had seen the trap long before it closed. Humanity had survived the betrayal. And humanity had shown the galaxy the true meaning of peace. The Council had called it peace. But peace without freedom was only a cage. Humanity had torn the cage apart and reminded the galaxy that real peace could never be forced. Real peace had to be chosen. And in that moment, as stars burned silently across the void, the galaxy finally understood. Earth had not only survived. Earth had changed everything.